We have a motion on the floor to move that nominations cease. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm honored. Now at this time, a vice chair. Yes, ma'am. We have a nomination for Shawndra Washington for vice.
Mr. Chair, I have a nomination for Susan Cunningham for vice.
And we have Shawndra Washington and Susan Cunningham. Do we have any we have a motion that the nominations cease in a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we just want to do a show of hands on the vote. All in favor of Shawndra Washington, raise your hand, please. 3. Okay, we have 3. And all in favor of Susan? 1, 2, 3. So you guys are making it rough on me. I got to break the tie. And I'll vote for Susan. So it's 3-4. So Susan will be the vice chair. Okay, I would entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And next we have this item number 6, review the responsibilities of the Personnel Committee. The responsibilities of the Personnel Committee are to review and make recommendations regarding the development of a comprehensive human resource system for Washington County. This includes salary levels, policies, affirmative action review, employees' insurance, fringe benefits, and travel policies. Do we have any questions? Okay. Item number 7, overview of the job evaluation and salary administration program. Mr. Johansson, would you come forward, please? The item 7.1 in your agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the Personnel Committee and members of the Quorum Court. I'm going to focus in on Exhibit 7.1, which is a one-page overview, and reference that 7.2 represents the Job Evaluation Salary Administration Program policy for the county, and it's within the Washington County Employee Handbook, and it encompasses pages 25 through 28. That's something that after this evening you might want to take some time to read through when you have a convenient time to do that, but for this evening I'd like to really just pay attention to the overview of the process of the program. So on the one-page document, you'll see that towards the top of that document we have Washington County Quorum Court, and you'll notice that the items that come up through the Job Evaluation Committee then surface at that committee, work their way through the Personnel Committee, and then eventually to the Quorum Court. For Washington County Quorum Court, the items that are listed there, review and approval of county positions, so you're responsible for the approval of the county positions, also the pay structure that the county has on a year-to-year basis, On an annual basis, you're evaluating and approving the budget for the personnel. And then you'll receive an annual compensation study that we take care of each year, and we'll make recommendations based on that study. That typically comes to you in the months of September, October, sometimes as early as August, with recommendations on how the county's doing with its pay compared to the market, and a recommendation for adjustments. And then also you'll review and approve the county job evaluation salary administration program policies. And you'll notice in the handbook that periodically this policy is updated by the Personnel Committee with approval of the Quorum Court. The next section talks about the Personnel Committee as it relates to positions and pay. Since you'll take up a lot of agenda items outside of positions and pay, we wanted to focus on those items. Review and approve the policies that are associated with the job evaluation program. Review and approval of county positions and pay outside of the approved budget. So each year the elected officials and department heads come to you with their budgets with positions and pay. And then occasionally, depending on something that comes up with a particular elected official or department head's department, they may ask for something that's outside of budget, and that'll come through the Personnel Committee on through Finance and to Quorum Court, depending on if it's outside of budget or not. And then review and approve requested exemptions of the items that come outside of policy. One of the reasons why the county has the policy is to take care of quite a few items within policy so that you're not making decisions week to week or month to month on individual position or pay decisions that we can handle through the budget or through the policy. That way the items that surface to you are surfacing to you because they're outside of policy. Then the next part of this is to look at the Job Evaluation Committee. This committee meets on a monthly basis. It consists of elected officials, Personnel Committee Chair, the JP that represents the committee, the compensation consultant, that's me, road superintendent, HR director, ex officio. Those are open meetings, and they're held here at the courthouse, or at the county offices on the 5th floor. This committee will review and approve job descriptions, job ratings, pay grade placements based on revised job descriptions and new job descriptions submitted by the elected officials and department heads. And then review and approve catastrophic leave requests. That's a program that the county adopted several years ago, and it came up through this committee for us to review those applications where employees are applying for leave requests, catastrophic leave requests, for time that they don't have that's been donated, and those requests come through the committee for review and approval. The overview of the history, this is the 4th section. The county has been working with job evaluation and salary administration program reviews and job rating systems since 1985, so it's been a part of the county for a pretty good amount of time. New and existing job description reviews and job ratings that come up on an as-needed basis, and then job ratings occurring during months prior to the budget. So typically the department heads or elected officials that have some changes that are associated with the upcoming budget will typically take care of job description changes and job rating changes in the fall in the anticipation of your work that you'll do with the annual budget. And then for the compensation consultant, there's a few bullet items there. Review county job descriptions, job ratings on an as-needed basis. Those come through the HR department, then to our company. We review them and then make decisions about job rating changes based on the revised job descriptions or new job descriptions. Completion of a market pay study update and recommendations, and as I mentioned earlier, that happens usually September, October. Recommendation for employee pay adjustments based on a market pay study, and that happens each year. Periodic recommendation to adjust the pay structure. The last time we adjusted structure was in 2016. We're coming up on about 4 years for 2020. Typically, we'll make a recommendation to adjust the pay structure about every 3 to 4 years. And we'll make a recommendation of how much of an adjustment and why we're making that recommendation. Meet with newly elected officials for assistance with reorganization. So if they're reorganizing their department or their area, what positions are being changed, and how can we help them with the job description and the job rating for those changes. And then facilitate the JSAP meetings, the Job Evaluation Committee meetings on a monthly basis. And then down at the bottom of the page here, we're talking about when it's time for the county to increase its pay structure, what are some of the benefits, the advantages and disadvantages, or the challenges associated? We typically don't encourage the county to do that on an annual basis because that tends to create compression, pay compression. So we recommend every 3 to 4 years that you consider adjusting the pay structure. So the reason why you do that is so your pay structure stays competitive in the marketplace instead of staying stagnant. And also it helps to make the competitive minimum of the wage, keep that competitive so that we're also moving up as inflation or pay adjustments for employees' pay out in the marketplace. And then also it helps to make sure that your long tenure employees don't top out because the pay structure doesn't increase. And so there's some reasoning for increasing the pay structure that are listed there. For the county, typically the challenge is whenever we increase the structure, we have employees' pay that falls below the minimum of the new pay range structure, and that's been a challenge for the county to cover that cost. It's getting better because we've had some good adjustments for employees' pay over the last years, sometimes 3% and sometimes as much as 5% if we were behind market. That's helping to keep employees ahead of the minimums, and so we shouldn't have as much of an impact when it comes time to adjust the schedule for this next budget cycle, which is probably what we'll recommend for 2020. Any questions that you have?
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that information. So I noticed reviewing some of the pay grades that some employees were past the quartile maximum for that pay grade. Is there an explanation for that?
The quorum court can do a budget exemption or make a decision on budget controls to allow employees to make over the max of the position range, grade range, and that's decided on an annual basis or each budget cycle. So that's how that happens, whenever the quorum court allows it to happen.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Johansson? Okay, if we move on to the next,
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
don't run off anywhere. Item number 8, we have a request from Judge Stacy Zimmerman to change the position of lead juvenile officer, specialized police officer, grade 19 to a manager lead juvenile officer, SPO grade 21 in the Circuit Court 3 budget for 2019, 8.1 and 8.5. Do we have that? Yeah, we must have it.
Mr. Chairman, would this have to go to Budget
This-
and Finance?
This is this, was this what we just went through in
I
JSAT?
think,
That we didn't have anything that's gonna go through, it's not gonna affect
the budget.
it's not gonna affect the budget, I don't believe any of these. It's just change some job titles.
So it's just the job titles. Were some of these raised last December? And are these the ones that were, no, these are
I
new
think-
ones. There's Judge Zimmerman shaking her head, yes, okay.
Okay,
Then I would like to make a motion to pass 8.1
Okay, we have a motion
to
to
the full
pass.
quorum court for for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass 8.1.
Actually, it's, with a correction, please, it's 8.1 through 8.5. If the second would agree to that.
Second.
Do you, any discussion or further question? Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe somebody said there were no changes in salary, but there are some grade changes. But salaries are not affected, is that correct?
Mr. Watson, I believe, might come and answer some questions. I think on one of these issues that was discussed,
Yeah, JP Madison is correct. Both, excuse me, the manager's position, there is budget implications, and for the lead juvenile officer. Because of the fact there's a grade change in the manager, he makes a jump of 2 positions that at the discretion of the elected official, they can give him a 5% raise.
Okay, wouldn't this need to go to,
will money need to be appropriated for this?
That is correct.
Okay,
then this needs to go to finance rather than
Okay.
straight to
Tomorrow
quorum
night,
court?
yes.
okay, for this, 8.1 to 8.5, you wanna move to,
Okay, we'll make a friendly amendment then that 8.1 through 5 go to finance tomorrow night.
If I may. This position and the lead juvenile officer, those are the 2 asking for money, because there are changes, new positions as well as changes in names. That's why we presented it tonight.
okay, I caught the part where there was gonna be some title changes. And I had not realized there'd be money appropriated, so, we have a motion to pass this to the Budget Committee of the Whole with a do pass recommendation.
Yes, I accept the friendly amendment.
And a second?
Second.
Yes, okay. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Okay, and seeing no public comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And there are none. Okay, the next one, Mr. Watson, is item number 9, request from Judge Stacy Zimmerman to change the position of lead juvenile officer, specialized police officer, grade 19, to lead juvenile officer, grade 18, in the Circuit Court 3 budget of 2019.
That is correct. And in addition to this is the other position that there are budget implications because of the fact that the the salary that's requested is above the maximum that's allowed in JSAP. So that oftentimes we have to present it to personnel. Judge Zimmerman is asking for the incumbent to receive a salary of $21.50 an hour, and so hence it's above the first quintile.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Watson? Yes, ma'am.
Are these all consolidated in the one ordinance? Because I wasn't sure.
They are.
Okay.
They are in the one ordinance.
Then I think procedurally, I'd recommend that you,
We
Vote on it at once.
We didn't vote to add this to the agenda. If we approve each of these separately and then get a vote to
what,
amend the agenda to add this for other business.
well, I'm not on the committee. I was just making sure that the loose leaf item that's the only ordinance we have, because there's not an ordinance in the packet.
Okay.
The numbered items are just, I think, Judge Zimmerman's documentation.
So,
But if it's
would-
one ordinance, I think it probably ought to be voted on as one.
It would, we need to because the way this was laid out and we didn't approve to add this to the agenda, would it not be appropriate to discuss them and approve them separately and then vote at other business to add this to the agenda since we didn't do it at the first of the meeting?
If
Would
you're
that
asking me,
be-
I think you could do it now. I think you could add it to your agenda now, discuss them all, and then pass one ordinance. And then have one public comment period. Because I think all the items for Judge Zimmerman, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are compressed into one ordinance. So,
Okay.
Where is this ordinance?
It's a separate
If
leave.
you'll look on your computer in the tab.
So we have some things on paper and some things on computer, and I guess I don't know when to look at what.
Can we at this time, as the parliamentarian, add this to the agenda now and then vote on it, or would you continue to discuss these to make sure we're gonna approve all of them since they're all on one ordinance?
I don't think that it's necessary to approve the ordinance because that ordinance is on the Budget and Finance Committee agenda, because that is an appropriation ordinance. You certainly can. You can suspend the rules now and add this ordinance and pass this ordinance out of committee, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you can pass these, you can send these on with due pass recommendations to the Finance and Budget, and then that ordinance will be on Finance and Budget agenda, because that's more appropriate since that is dealing with the actual appropriation, and you can take it all up at that point. So just because the actual ordinance doesn't come out of the Personnel Committee tonight won't preclude it from being on the Finance and won't preclude it from being considered by the full quorum court. But if you want to add it, you certainly can suspend the rules and add it.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask a question of our parliamentarian, but if we are just the Personnel Committee and we are here to just approve the name change and the grade change, then the way it is and the way it stands is procedurally correct. And like Mr. Lester did mention, the ordinance itself can be brought up in Budget and Finance. So for us to adopt it into our
So-
agenda, I don't think is necessary because that's beyond our committee's responsibility. Our responsibility is for the name change and the grade change and, yes?
That's
If
the
there's
way-
any other discussion, I mean, Justice Madison, you're shaking your head if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, since it's on the agenda for tomorrow night for finance, and this is gonna have to go to finance, it seems sort of like double dipping to also pass the ordinance tonight. So I think we should be ready to act on number 9.
It's, if we proceed on this, and with the discussion we've had, it wasn't really necessary for us to look at this. It would be on tomorrow night's agenda, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, did we, now I've lost my
I don't
place.
think we've had a motion to pass 9.1 through 9.6. Is there a motion? If not, I will make the motion. I would like to make the motion to pass on to the Budget and Finance Committee 9.1 through 9.5, due recommendation, pass.
9.6.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, it is, 9.6, thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to pass on 9.1 and 9.6. Is there further discussion on item number 9? Any public comment? If there's no further discussion, no public comment that I see, all in favor of passing this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there are none. Item number 10. Request from Judge Stacy Zimmerman to change the position of juvenile officer 2, grade 16, to juvenile probation officer, SPO grade 16, in the court circuit 3 budget for 2019. 10.1 to 10.3. Mr. Watson, a little information on this one.
Due to a vacancy in Circuit Court 3, at level 15, the decision was made to transfer an officer who had SBO qualifications into it. However, this officer is currently a 16. And so because he's a juvenile officer 2 nominally, they wanted to have some SBO skill sets in this new position. So and rather than make it punitive for the move to go down, they've asked for us to change the position to grade 16.
Any questions for Mr. Watson? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there is no money change, it's just a title change?
That's correct, and Judge Zimmerman has asked for him to maintain his salary.
Okay, so this will not need to go to budget then?
No, this will not. This one and the next one.
Okay, one at a time. Well, then I'll move that we recommend the quorum court pass 9.1 to 9.6.
Any further discussion before the vote? Any public comment?
10.1, right?
Is it, what's 10?
10.1 to 10.3.
We said this was the next one, yes, thank you, it's 10.
Yes, ma'am.
If it involves amending the budget in any way, I think it does have to go to finance, even if it's budget neutral. If it involves a change of title or change of grade in the budget itself, I think it has to go. And I think it's also in the ordinance that,
Will amend my motion to
They're
send
all-
this to finance.
Oh, yes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor to pass as amended? Or do we have to vote on the amendment now? No.
We made the motion and we both agreed.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Just that I would ask people to speak into the mic. We couldn't hear the last things that were said.
All right,
And we're in the
that's,
front row.
thank you for bringing that up. If there's no further comment on 10.1 through 10.3, all in favor? Are there any opposed? There are none. Let's move on to item 11. A request from Judge Stacy Zimmerman to change the position of Juvenile Officer 2, grade 16, to ERC Juvenile Officer 2, grade 16, in the Circuit Court 3 budget for 2019, 11.1 through 11.3. And this will all be part of that goes to the budget and finance. And like I say, or like I should say, JSAP passed all these. They had JSAP approval and sent them here to personnel. Might entertain a motion. Yes, we have a motion to.
I'd like to make a motion to pass on 11.1 through 11.3 to the Budget and Finance Committee with due pass recommendation.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Any public comment? If none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there are none. Because do we have any other business to come before this committee?
Thank you, Court.
See that we don't have any hands showing for other business. At this time, public comment. Do we have any comment from anyone in the public? I see
About the
none.
personnel, only about the personnel, right?
Personnel,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. We have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.